Log 1, May 4th. I'm starting this log in case I survive. Perhaps after everything, I can have this published as part of some news journal. We noticed the vibrations around 2 weeks ago. It was enough to gain the attention of political leaders and the news stations. Seismologists couldn't explain the readings on their charts, and so a full investigation went underway. News crews followed scientists as they traveled across Poland where there were strong readings. What they found was perplexing. The edges of Poland were separating, exactly on the borderline. What we saw in the live broadcast didn't look like tectonic plate activity or anything like that. No large canyons or crevices forming from the quake. The visual continued to appear unimaginable. The edges of the earth where Poland separated was absorbing all the crumbling ground around it, causing the country to raise in size. In fact, the elevation of the country had changed drastically. The edges of Poland folding in on itself and absorbing itself was causing its overall shape to change and grow in height. A few hours after the broadcast, satellite images were plastered on TV showing that, in fact, Poland had changed shape. It was absolutely bizarre. What was once a simply shaped country was now shaped similar to maybe a palm frond or perhaps a wonky centipede. It had long, fat middle with limbs, maybe 10. What had happened to the land between these limbs? I don't want to think too hard about that. Log 2, May 5th. People have been trying to leave. It is the most obvious answer to escape whatever reality has suddenly thrusted itself on us. News cameras broadcasted as lines of people reached the edges of Poland. People were all there, in cars, buses, on foot, but what could they do? The edges of Poland were so much higher than originally. It was like being on a mountain, staring down at other countries below. A few folks decided to try and rappel down the side, but much like the crumbling dirt, except much more horrific, those people were absorbed directly into the side of Poland. After a few more tragically failed attempts, we learned that anything that rolled or climbed off the edge of Poland stood no chance of surviving. Log 3, May 8th. There's no more power, no ground internet. I rewrote my first logs in this journal that I'll dedicate solely to this documentation. Folks with generators are doing somewhat okay. They don't like to share their electricity too much, but are willing if you have items to trade. Stores in town have stopped selling. Instead, as people show up for supplies, they have pre-made sacks ready for handing out so families can get back to their homes as quickly as possible. People don't like being out. The odor that Poland now gives off is quite putrid. It reminds me of a men's locker room, almost as though the country is sweating. I'm not trying too hard to understand it. I personally have collected packets of different vegetable and fruit seeds to start in my grow room. The benefits are of indoor recreational gardening. I already have plenty of the necessary things to start quite a variety of plants to help survive. My cat, Biscuits, not doing too good though. In fact, most all the animals, pets, and livestock are sick. The meat isn't safe to eat. Nobody can figure that one out. All we know is it started when Poland came to life. Log 4, May 12th. Poland has stopped. After trading some beverages with a neighbor who has generators, I was able to charge my phone enough to get a news update stating Poland was now in Russia, close to China. How weird is it to wake up this morning and not feel the vibrations we had all become accustomed to? I don't know what this means. I don't know if we can leave. All I know is we have stopped. Poland has stopped. After meeting some people in town, I observed that the country still stank. Of course, it was worse now because all the animals are rotting carcasses, but people still had to come out. This could be the sign that things are about to get better. What if we can leave soon? Log 5, May 13th. Poland is still stopped, but there are very different vibrations happening. I can hear them. They are sudden, loud, and aggressive. like tiny earthquakes. I had to go out to the corner store today just to see if there's still any fresh water. It's very humid. The moisture in the air soaks your skin faster than you can sweat. I also noticed, while out, that there was a billowing smoke in multiple directions, all far off in the distance. I stopped at my neighbor's on my way back and was able to get another update on my phone. Sinkholes were appearing across Poland. They weren't too big, just enough for a whole house to fall. But the weird part was, after the sinkhole appeared and the structure fell inside, the sinkhole would seal itself back up. Of course, this isn't normal. Nothing about this is. Log 6, May 15th. Poland is moving again. The vibrations seem livelier than before, almost like the country's regenerated. Sinkholes ended early yesterday morning. Many homes filled with families are just gone. My plants are growing nicely. By the time the corner and grocery stores are empty, I should still be thriving thanks to my grow room. I do miss meat though. While Poland was stopped, a few men and bulldozers collected people's dead pets and livestock to pile up in the empty lot. Biscuit ended up in that pile. Biscuit was a great travel companion. I adopted him as a kitten back when I still lived in Sarasota, Florida. He came with me to California, South Dakota, France, and now Poland. What a shame that his journey ended here, even though here isn't really Poland anymore, location-wise. Log 7, May 25th. I'm having a freak out. I believe that the sinkholes are some way of eating. Poland is eating. And we have no way of knowing who or what gets picked to disappear. Actually, there's one thing to give a heads up. It can only eat when it's stopped. The last time Poland stopped, a whole town decided to gather in the community center for fear that they go down with their homes. Would you believe? I was able to watch the satellite view of the entire community center getting swallowed up. We're at dinner. It's already been decided. I can't imagine a scenario where I get off this country. Perhaps I'll leave my journal somewhere to be found when eventually, after Poland eats everyone, it starves to death. That's the only way this is ending. The last time I checked the world news, the United States and other countries were out of ideas. The only thing that hasn't been tried is nuclear bombs, which isn't going to be on the table until every human has been swallowed up. Instead, the rest of the world is using their time, energy, and resources to evacuate countries that they predict are in Poland's path. I haven't thought of what Poland might be causing as it moves over other pieces of land. Log 8, May 28th. Fuck this disgusting, porous, sweaty, stinky monster. Bomb it now. I don't even give a shit. Log 9, May 29th. I got drunk with the neighbor last night. Things got incredibly heated and emotional. He told me he's going to walk to the edge and let Poland consume him. Apparently there's a whole community of people that would rather end their life that way than continue on this painstaking, unknown journey. I don't think I could do that. I was just hoping to wait this out, but now it seems I'm more just waiting for the sinkholes. Log 10, same day. Perhaps I should introduce myself a little. My name is Silas Burlam. I'm 28. Originally, I was born and raised in Boulder, Colorado, but I've never considered anywhere I lived to be home. I moved from place to place doing odd jobs, which landed me in Florida with an actual restoration company. I was rather reckless on job sites. I didn't have too much fear and didn't really value my life. At one point, it landed me in the hospital with a femur fracture and a concussion. I ended up having to see a therapist who recommended I get a pet to help me see my value through keeping something else alive. And it worked. Biscuit became my world. He would even come with me on jobs. That's when I knew he'd be great at traveling. I haven't spoken to my parents for years, except maybe a salutation at the holidays. Perhaps if someone finds this journal, they can let my family know how I did during this supernatural experience. I'll leave their names and addresses in the back of this notebook. Log 11, June 10th. My strawberries are growing great, but I think the carrots were a bad idea. They take so long to grow to size, and zucchini gets too big for my little room. But I may just expand gardening to the whole house. I've been going through my neighbor's house for food. I didn't take his generator, not out of respect, but because of the other people in town have started going feral. If I were to walk out an abandoned home with too much food or something of value, I'd be attacked on the spot. I did risk turning on the generator to get a news update on my phone. The whole world is watching us like an amoeba on a petri dish. Poland is beneath India now, but it doesn't matter where we go. It's always gross and steamy. At this point, I feel like if we were to move to Antarctica, we wouldn't freeze. It's hard to stay hydrated. I found what many of my neighbors were doing was storing jars of water in their freezer. Of course, they're not frozen. It's basically just extra cabinet space. It's a smart move. I need to carefully bring those home without drawing too much attention. The only water containers in my house have rainwater from the gutters for the plants. My town appears to be lucky, as it's mostly overlooked during Poland's feedings. I say that, but I do miss the corner store at the end of my street. It was eaten about a week ago. There seems to be no real pattern to when Poland stops. Sometimes it would go for a week or two. Sometimes it stops after 3 days. Sometimes it feeds for 4 days. Sometimes only an hour. Log 12, June 23rd. The news hasn't changed. Poland is still moving. The elevation is incredibly different down by New Zealand. Last time Poland stopped for a break to feed was 4 days ago. That time, it was only 20 homes. It's the most horrifying thing when Poland stops. You never know whose house will get sucked up into the ground for consumption. My indoor garden is doing okay. I've been living off of carrots, strawberries, and radishes. I hope this ends soon. I hope Poland stops for good. I don't want any more death or fear, the anxiety that comes with the hope. Hopefully, Poland will find its forever spot in the world, and we can all escape. Until then, we keep trekking on this unknown, unforeseen, and undesirable journey. Log 13, June 30th. My street is gone. I don't know how my house is still standing. I can't get any more updates on Poland. I have no more access to water or power, and there are no other people. It's only a matter of time until I'm gone too. Last time, I was able to check the news. Reports were made that towns were coming together to form bigger communities in order to help each other, but I know how that ends up, how easy these communities make it for Poland to feed, and because of that, I need to be okay with the idea of loneliness. However long it lasts, the gardening at least keeps me sane. Although it hasn't rained in a while, I wish I knew where on earth we were, but it must be somewhere where it doesn't rain much. It's been extra dry and hot because I no longer have access to water. I decided to trek down to a popular river near the edge of town. It used to be a very popular swimming spot during the summer, and for parades in the spring. I brought 4-gallon jugs to fill up, but to my surprise, the river that always flows was bone dry. I can only assume it was absorbed by Poland. The country must also be feeling the effects of wherever we are, possibly a desert. And while the lack of disgusting steam coming off of Poland makes it somewhat bearable, it is also alarming. Could Poland be getting sick? Log 14, date unknown. The garden is drying up. Thankfully, carrots hold moisture for quite a while. While I no longer know what day it is, I can say that it's been over 2 weeks since Poland has stopped. The ground is steaming again, so I'm going to assume we're passing the desert voyage also. I can't tell that the days feel longer or shorter. I've lost almost desire for food. I'm certain I'm going crazy from lack of water and conversation. Log 15. Poland has stopped. I took this opportunity to run. My garden is completely dried up. There was nothing holding me to my house. I needed to make one last attempt at survival, so I ran to a neighboring town and searched for food and water. I ended up finding an abandoned neighborhood with a few houses still in good condition. I'm set up in one of them and plan on searching the other homes for supplies in the next few days or so. There's water here. I found at least 7 5-gallon jugs in the basement, along with a chest of non-perishable foods. As I write this and feel my belly, I can feel some sanity slowly creeping back. Poland is moving. The normal vibrations of the country have grown rapidly. At first, I thought perhaps I would be swallowed up into the ground, but that didn't happen. Instead, I was flung backwards, as though Poland was moving with extreme speed. Looking outside, the trees are blowing over like a hurricane. This is probably my last log. I don't know what will happen next, but whatever it is, will probably end in my demise. I don't know how much more this house can withstand. The speed at which the grounds move is not something most home builders think about when designing a home. It's been days. Poland won't slow down. I've been hiding down in the basement. What I wouldn't give for any information on what's happening. The roar of the wind is terrifying. The house above me just flew away. I can see the sky. I can see the ground. I can see Earth. It's getting smaller.